Hi.
Hey, Justin. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. What's that in the background right there? Priorities for Flexalytics.
Oh, that is the thing that I was going to mastermind next time. That's the analytics service that I'm working on.
Cool. But what's that little tool you're using there? Well, whimsical.
Yeah, this is the same one that I used last time to do all the mind map stuff for Alchemist Camp. It's pretty flexible, so you can use it to do that mind map kind of thing like this, or just like a Trello as well, and you can drag stuff and link stuff. I think this is probably going to get more popular.
Yeah, that probably is going to get more popular. That looks like a useful sort of, and it's collaborative as well, right?
Yeah, it's collaborative. It reminds me a little bit of Notion. Like, it's got really cheap entry level pricing, and it's really flexible, and you can do a lot of stuff with it, and people are still kind of exploring it and figuring it out.
Yeah, cool. So let's see. We had some kind of agenda here. So I think the first thing we're going to do is just give a quick update about where we're at with our different projects.
All right.
So I'll go first. Go.
Okay.
Oh, you okay?
Yeah. All right. I'm going.
Okay, go on you.
So on the main goal of health, I've not done so well this week. I've made it out running once. Did a few like body weight exercises at the park once. My sleep schedule's been all over the place, but it's basically been the ideal lifestyle for not getting the coronavirus. I've just been at home by myself on the computer, so I'll give myself a D+. Then
D+, that's not too bad.
Yeah, and then on the Alchemist Camp and the side project side of things, it's been a bit better. I have not done a bunch of videos like I had last time, but I got some more coding done on the site for this podcast, and that involved learning more about Phoenix Live View. It's getting another update. It's still not 1.0, so it's a bit crazy. I also had a call with someone from Elixir School, which is probably the second largest website related to Elixir. It's all open source stuff, and they're reviewing Alchemist Camp, and may do some kind of collaboration with me where I offer a different tier service of it at some kind of discount or some kind of different deal just for Elixir School open source contributors. So
great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and that'll be like fantastic to have a link from them, because they're where a lot of people end up right at the beginning when they start researching, like Learn Elixir. So
nice.
Yeah, it's been okay. And yourself?
Yeah. Well, health. I've got. Did I tell you that I was? I told you that I had diabetes, right? You know that. Did I tell you that I got a continuous glucose monitor?
I don't remember if you said that or not.
So that was something that I was going to do. Yeah. So I've got this goal to try and get myself to about 150 to kind of level out at 150, which is so a normal person's blood sugar is typically around 75, 80. But if you're sort of diabetes too, if you can keep it down to 150 or lower, that's pretty good. I mean, obviously I'm shooting for 100, that would be perfect. But given that I've been in the 300s for a couple of years at this point, that's hard. So I got a continuous glucose monitor, which is basically you plug this needle's in you all the time, and it's transmitting data to your phone. And so you've got this constant chart of what's going on, like every 5 minutes of what's going on with your blood sugar. And it definitely is beneficial, because the only other way of like getting your blood sugar is pricking yourself with a needle and basically getting some blood and looking at it. And
you get instant feedback, I guess, on your lifestyle.
Well, are you talking about with the continuous glucose monitoring or with the thing? Yeah, with the continuous glucose monitoring, you do get instant feedback. And it's cool because you can basically see the effects. So you can also learn, like, oh wait, that food actually doesn't affect me anywhere near as much as I thought it did. Whereas this food that I thought was good is like skyrocketing my blood sugar. So it's changing my eating patterns because I'm sort of seeing it on there all the time. And I'm just getting down to about the 200s now. What I'm not doing is I'm not moving enough. I think moving would be the next thing to bring me down to the 150. So I'm just sort of, because my day job, I've got this crazy deadline for Feb 20, and I'm just like jamming, sitting in the chair, working. I've barely got like, every day is like less than 1,000 steps kind of thing. So I just need to get movement in there, and with the continuous glucose monitoring, and I think that would be good.
Have you ever, this is just something that came up in conversation with a friend a while ago. Have you ever heard of a website from a doctor called Jason Fung? He's got like so he's like specializes in that, an Australian doctor, and he's I
think I have.
He's done a lot of stuff on intermittent fasting and extended fasting.
Yes, I hear a lot about intermittent fasting. I hear a lot about intermittent fasting. Yeah,
I've kind of been interested in that myself. Like I'm not diabetic, but I'm overweight, and I should at least consider doing things to lower blood sugar a bit as well. And in theory, at least from what my friends have said, it's a lot easier to do that, like a 3-day fast once a month or once every 2 weeks than it is to, be pretty good every day.
Well, also, one of the popular intermittent fasting ones is daily, right? So basically, it's just So just to have that 8-hour eat window. But yeah, I mean, the other thing I was going to say is, even though I haven't been moving that much, they say that actually it's through the kitchen that you lose weight, not through the gym. And I think that's true because I've been struggling to get below 220 pounds. For years, and I just got below 220. And I think the reason is because having this monitoring of my blood sugar so carefully, I want to try and keep it flat. So I'm eating less because I know that if I eat, it's going to bring it up. So it's like literally gamifying me, making me eat less is what I think is going on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Gamification is, I like applying that to pretty much anything except getting people to click ads.
Yeah, right.
Gamification for good.
With regard to the progress of the different projects, with Nugget, I did unlock all of the content. So you, as an Academy member, will be able to just go and click at any piece of content now, up to stage 9. And because I haven't done 11 and 12, 10, 11, 12, they're still work in progress. So I did that, but I haven't really told anyone except for a few people who I'm sort of working with and mentoring, because I'm finding more and more that I need to send people into stage 9 to learn about some of the sales site stuff. And it was really annoying because it's locked. So I just unlocked it. Now I can just send them a link and then go straight in, and that's good. With Speak, there's basically my strategy is as I described at the end of the last show. I think I'm going to stick with that, which is to work on task flow and to develop that consumer-based product, flywheel product. I haven't done any more than what we spoke about last time, so I'm sort of basically stalled out. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I had a quick question on Speak, actually, just a mini tangent. Sure. That is, how do people find it in general? Like, it seems like you don't, or how do people find any of your new stuff? I know Nugget, you went on Indie Hackers and did a little bit of interaction, but...
Well, this is what... So basically, in the Nugget Academy itself, it teaches a number of different ways to launch a product and validate a product. And so one thing about me is I do create a lot of products because I'm looking for a product that validates really well so that I can then double down and scale it and scale its success. So the standard, depending on the type of product, I launch it in different ways. But with Speak, the first thing that I'll do is I'll come up with the idea. Then I will talk to a few people via Slack or on the phone about the idea and just get a general gut feel, what people think about. Is it even worth me? So remember the hyper iteration thing. So I want to iterate as quickly as possible. Well, if I speak to 5 people and they all say, dude, that it's not that's not just dumb, but like that is going to be a waste of your life. If everyone says that, then I'm going to be like, I'd have to feel pretty strongly about it to move beyond just that. So there's a lot of stuff that just gets killed dead in the water that way. Then the next thing I do is I'll sort of work up a landing page, and that'll just be super simple with like a headline and with some basic concepts about it, some basic features of it. And that landing page, then I'll use that. I'll put an emailing list on and get people to join an emailing list and come into a Slack, and then I'll start talking to the people about the product.
How would those people first hit the landing page, though?
Well, so there's different ways. So it just depends on the product. So if it's a product that feels right to be introduced through Indie Hackers, then I'll do an Indie Hackers post. If it's a product that feels right to go through BetaList, betalist.com, which is very, very good for certain products, then I'll put it there. If it's a product that feels right to be validated via buying ads on Google AdSense or post. So there's really multiple different strategies, but it relies on what the product is and who the product market is.
Okay.
So a consumer product like TaskFlow and Speak, which is also Speak is an in-between. It's kind of a consumer product, but it's a consumer product for website owners. So I put that, by the way, if anyone watching this wants to check out Speak, you can go to speakhq.co. And what it does is it lets people, yeah, that's a good idea. It basically lets people present video on their website. Present on their website without video. So it sort of lets you do a screencast on a single web page, and you can move the mouse around, and you can go that. And I've already got I think it's about, at this point it's about 60 beta signups. And the way that I did that was by putting it on BetaList, betalist.co, and you pay .com, and you can pay, I think you could either just put it on there for free and it takes 3 months to get on, or you can spend $150 or $199 and just get it on straight away. So for me, it's well worth spending that money, and I've done it with multiple products on there, and then that will create thousands of viewers of traffic.
Okay.
But it only creates that if it's the right product. So for example, I did a product. So Speak is the right product because it's consumer, but it's consumer for people who have websites, but lots of people who have websites.
Right.
So that's why I got like 50 signups straight away. Then those people, a lot of a fair percentage of them came into a new Slack group that I created, and then I set up meetings and I did FaceTime calls like this with people about the product. And all the indications of the product are from those meetings that it's not the sort of flywheel revenue product that I should focus on right now. Mm-hmm. It's got a lot of potential, but it's the wrong. There's this thing about scale, like are you working at the right scale for where you are at as a founder?
Right.
And that product is the wrong scale for where I am. That product is, if I already had a couple of $100,000 in the bank, that I could spend in a product, let's say 500,000 or $1 million or something, like this would be something like this would be perfect for Rob Walling after he'd I don't know, done Hittail or something like that. You know what I mean?
Well,
that would be absolutely perfect.
I didn't want to pull it on a big tangent. I was just curious how you were getting people there, because what I've noticed on Indie Hackers, or even with a lot of friends in this Line chat group. Line is like Taiwan and Japan and Thailand's version of WhatsApp. They'll generally just go everywhere. They'll go to like Reddit. They'll go to like 10 different subreddits. They'll go to Indie Hackers. They'll go to Hacker News. Go to Product Hunt. Just everywhere where it's free to post, they'll post it. And obviously, you weren't trying that hard in that way, at least. Yeah,
and I think that's also a function of I'm not connected to the idea, and this is something that I teach in the academy as well, is that if you get super invested in an idea at that early stage, it's really problematic, because you're kind of all in on the idea, but you haven't validated it. You haven't gone through fast validation iterations. And then 6 months later, you realize what you could have realized in the first couple of weeks if you'd just been not so all in on it and just spoken to more people about it and realized, there's a major Achilles heel. It doesn't work with me as a founder for these reasons, So that's what I try. That's what I really try and avoid up front. And that's it's difficult. But you know, some of them get further along the path until I realize, that's what the problem with this is. You know.
Yeah, I used to do this when I was very first becoming a programmer. I used to do this with Flash games. I'd like put a ton of time into making something and be like, actually, like that was kind of all wasted time.
So you made Flash games?
That was when I like first became like an actual programmer. I had run a WordPress blog for a long time and made some really simple JavaScript widgets for converting Chinese numbers to Roman and back and forth or that kind of thing. But it was after I left the brick and mortar language school that I had been a partner in Taiwan for 4 years. And I had some time and I had enough money that I didn't have to work for a bit. I went to mainland China in Kunming, and I had a roommate there that had he was learning how to program and doing a lot of stuff, and I just happened to be when Congregate.com put out this tutorial for like make a Flash game, and it was really easy to follow this cookie cutter process. So I did one, which is like this side-scrolling shooter, and then immediately after that, I made a clone of like Arkanoid or Breakout. If you ever played that old game from the 80s, then I made this. It was good for learning, but it was not a good product. I made a complex sort of like a Tetris game, except you'd have levels. Then in between them, you'd go to a shop and you would buy different pieces. And there are more complex pieces than in Tetris that are mostly horrible because it's like a big U shape or something like that that's hard to place. And the way this game worked, it was like you start off with these horrible pieces and you've got to do okay to sell them and get better pieces. And so most people would just lose right away. And then some people would start winning and then get better pieces and then like really, really win at it. So it was like maybe 1% of people who played it would like feel like they were doing okay and get into it. And everyone else would just be like, oh, this is hard. This sucks. But I spent, especially because I was learning how to program as I did this, learning AS3. I spent a lot of time on that thing and drawing like all the stuff for it. So.
Yeah, Flash was a lot of fun. It was great, and I think Flash sort of unlocked. It kind of unlocked people's creativity in a way that wasn't really accessible on the web. People just just created whole new worlds. I'm not even sure that even today that people do use the web in the same creative way as with Flash.
I mean, when I found it in 2010, like for someone who doesn't really code much, but you can, you're comfortable like drawing or like at least manipulating assets in, in an Adobe program, like it was amazingly quick to like build something and get feedback. And it was a great way to learn how to program. Yeah. So.
That's cool. So what happened with the games? I mean, are they still out? I mean,
I think they're still on Congregate.
They're still on Congregate, but like no one has Flash, so.
Yeah, you probably can't actually run them, but they should still be there. Is there a U in there? I don't remember the address, but I'll put them in the show episode, the show links if I find them.
Go to the homepage of that. Is it all JS games now?
I bet it's not. I bet they still have some Flash, and probably Unity. They like I like started using it in 2010, although I'd played for a few years first, and they were still almost all JavaScript in 2011, and we're just starting to add some Unity.
Well, what does Unity run in? That just runs in JavaScript, does it? Or what? Well, how does the Unity run?
Unity is C#. I mean, it's written in C++, but you write C#, and it could export to pretty much everything. So it looks like, they've got a lot of mobile games, and I bet the people that are writing these are writing those in Unity.
Yeah.
Card games.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. We were going to talk about mental models.
Oh yeah. So there's one that I've been thinking about a bit, and I've already done a mini podcast on it before, but that one is engines versus power-ups.
Okay.
And basically, this is how I think about stuff to learn. There's some things you can learn which will have utility for decades, like for your whole life. Like one example of that would be pure math, because math is not going to disappear. Another example is learning a language. Like I kind of suffered in my early to mid 20s learning foreign languages. I lived in Taiwan for 7 years and learned how to speak and read and even write Chinese. The writing has gotten way worse, but that is still going to be useful 50 years from now, because people are still going to speak Chinese. Same thing with sales. Same thing with like any like human related thing.
So that's an engine.
That is an engine. But on the other extreme, you've got stuff like learning the absolute latest, coolest JavaScript framework, or learning how to use a tool that's really hot right now. So if you just go for the engine, then maybe you get a math degree or a philosophy degree in your university, and then you spend a lot of time learning foreign languages or learning stuff like that. Then you may not actually be able to get a job with it. You may not really excel at any one specific thing that not just the market, but just that the world cares about that much. Whereas if you go the power up side, you like say what I did in San Francisco in 2013. Like I studied Backbone JS and CoffeeScript, both of which are totally useless now, but they took me from being an outsider in the tech industry, not really being able to get a decent job, to a good 6-figure a year job at Groupon, because there was a really high demand for them. And there's other stuff kind of in between, like programming languages.
That is super interesting. So that's exactly what I wasn't using this language, but when developing Nugget, I was thinking about engine for you. So basically, the knowledge there is foundational. Basically, I wanted to give the knowledge to anyone to stop them from ever picking a bad side project again, so that they never wasted their time, so that they always had the reason to know why they were working on something that could make profit for them and their family. And what I noticed is when I was researching and looking at a lot of other courses, they were very much about power-ups, very much about this is how you use Google AdWords, this is how you advertise on Facebook, which I think is like a whole other strata. So that's very interesting. And maybe listening to you now, maybe there isn't enough power-ups in there. Or maybe. I mean, I do link out to to lessons about that stuff, but I'm trying to teach the foundational knowledge is my main goal.
So I kind of think of this like a video game. Like say you're playing like one of those racing games where you play a level, and then based on how you did in the race, you have some money to spend at the shop, and you get more nitro, or you upgrade your engine, or you get like some better tires or something. I think the way that works best in that, and also like outside of games, is if you most of the time you work on your engine, because that'll still be paying dividends much later. But when you want to try to make a jump, or when you need to make a jump, then you kind of go all in on whatever the nitro is. So if you're doing it now, maybe it would be Instagram marketing for a marketer, or learning about say Nuxt.js and working with Firebase or something like that if you're a developer, and get that next level locked in. And then like once you've consolidated that next level of success, then you want to go back to focusing on the engine until you're like getting ready to make a leap for the next
Do you have a blog
Not exactly. Not. I'm used to, but
I think you should have a blog, and something like that, I think, could be a very succinct and very good blog post that could bring a lot of awareness to you, that could get to do well on Hacker News and other sites like that. Because I think it's really good. I like it a lot.
cool.
Is this your? Did you come up with this concept?
As far as I know, this one is all me.
Yeah, nice. Maybe that should be our goal, to kind of invent mental models rather than sort of just tell people about other people's mental models.
Yeah, I mean, if it's something that's useful, because I spent so much time thinking about this stuff and going to like all one extreme or the other before. So
I like it. That's nice. Yay on the
I'll
engines versus power ups.
I'll try to make a blog post out of it.
I think you should make. I think you should set up a blog, and start content marketing. I mean, content marketing is a perfect route for you, for both, I guess, this podcast and also for what you're working on, the different things that you're working on, the analytics tool and the Elixir stuff.
Yeah, it seems like it's so much easier to get people to share a blog post than a video. By the way, like videos do not do well on Hacker News or on Reddit or any similar sites.
Well, people just want to be able to get to. The problem with videos is it's like it's this stream of data. So like, how do you get to the specific nugget of the information? Whereas you can scan a blog post and you can get it. If you can speed read it, you can read a TLDR. It's just more parsable. I like that a lot. Okay, so I wanted to talk about one blog post which I thought was very cool. Reasons Not to Become Famous by Tim Ferriss.
I already read that one. It was interesting.
Yeah, it made me. Is that Tim Ferriss?
It is.
Oh yeah.
I'm just going to the site for people.
It was
on the
really
video.
interesting. Just talking.
Quick aside: if you are just listening to this on the podcast, you should check out the Reactor YouTube channel, because you'll see us going to the sites and sometimes looking at our planner tools or the sites we're talking about. All right, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I mean, that to me is like a central thing about this. I mean, I know that this is a podcast, but this is a screen podcast. I mean, we are basically doing screen sharing. We're doing a lot of stuff on the screen all the time. So yes, it is good to listen to when you're running or something, but we are doing a lot of stuff on screen. I wonder, does a podcast player play? Is there any way of putting the video into the podcast player?
Not yet, but I bet there will be.
Yeah, it should be, really, right? It sort of doesn't make sense that it doesn't happen already.
I think it's going that way, though, because there's so many interview podcast shows where they actually meet in person and also record video, including Tim Ferriss's.
So let's say you were listening to this podcast and you wanted to go and have a look at what we were talking about right now, and you were out running. What would you do? What would be the process to do that?
That's a tough one. I do listen to a lot of podcasts when I'm running. I would I do. I would just keep running. I wouldn't do that.
Would you take note of the time frame maybe, and then check? No, it's only if it was super interesting.
Yeah, I have done that a few times. I've paused. Like, say if I take a minute break to drink water or something, I might like just check and see about what time it was.
Okay.
But usually, I mean, if I were just like, say, walking through the park, or if I were on a subway or something like that, then maybe. But while running, it's a tough one.
So, okay, talking about 11 Reasons Not to Become Famous, which is Tim Ferriss's blog post here. Could you just scroll down to this thing where he talks about the difference between a school, a village, and where was
the
it?
Tribe, the village, city.
Yeah, so this, I really, really like this. It's like in your class at school, you may have 20 people who you kind of know them, and they're probably going to be cool. There might be someone who exhibits some weird behavior every now and again. In your school, there's going to be like a couple of weird kids, and probably some a couple of dangerous ones. And in your town, there's going to be, like 10, 20, 100 people. And then the more you expand, the larger, the more people that are involved, just through sheer math, there's going to be crazies coming into the mix.
Yeah. Have you experienced that yourself yet?
Yes, I definitely have. And I never really thought about it this way. But Jason, who has on the other podcast texting, Jason, who is more, I guess, more opinionated than me. I mean, he's not afraid to be quite opinionated about his opinions. Right. He's definitely, over the 10 years of the show, he's had some people, some crazies, more than me. So I think Tim Ferriss says here, it doesn't matter what the content is. Like, crazies are going to get you, but I think that's a multiplier. Like, if you are kind of even keeled and not doing stuff that's too crazy and not expressing super strong opinions, it's less likely that you are going to get someone hooking onto you in that way.
I agree.
In fact, the crazies that I've encountered have not been because of texting; it's been because of Plugio. Because with Plugio, there was I had 25,000 people on the emailing list, and some people somehow connected with me through that. It was like it was a bit scary.
I had one crazy person I dealt with. I used to have a reasonably popular blog for teaching English and learning foreign languages. There was one person who actually had interviewed me for his site. And made some mistakes. Like he just said some stuff that I hadn't said. Nothing horrible, but I kind of said something like, well, it wasn't, these things weren't all right, but at least that was just the written version, and the online version looks okay. And he like went off the rails over this to the point where not only did he send lots of threats then, but years later, when I hadn't even communicated with this guy at all, he sent me an email when I was in San Francisco. It was like, I know you're in San Francisco now, and I'll off you myself. And I was just like, whoa. And it turned out, he had, a lot of other people that he had online grudges with or issues with. And fortunately, I think I was like far enough down the list that like nothing else happened, and I believe he just stayed in Australia or wherever he was traveling in Asia. But it was that like really made me think, like, do I want to have this old blog at all? And that's
interesting.
I do agree with what you were saying, that the content matter has a big effect, because I think the worst would be if you were like a political blogger.
Yeah, you're blogging about Trump or something like that.
You're going to be angering like double-digit percentage of your audience all the time. Yeah. Maybe the best is if you're like Lex Friedman, podcaster. He has this podcast that's all about artificial intelligence. So he has like experts from computer science. He had like Jeremy Howard on there. He's had like a bunch of self-driving car experts. And I bet it's just enough work to go through that kind of content that most the audience is like, even if the audience gets big, I think it'll be pretty well put together.
The post was it was eye-opening for me to just think, wow, security becomes a major issue. People wanting something from you becomes a major issue. And he makes a good point, which is he's not even famous. Tim Ferriss isn't even even like within the scale of the capability of fame on the planet. Yeah. Like Tim Ferriss is like way down there. Like you and me are like we're little gnats on the butt of an ant, on the butt of an elephant kind of thing. But Tim Ferriss has 10 million people, I guess, in his circle. That's still small.
Yeah.
It's small comparative to, Brad Pitt,
Yeah.
Well, like when you think about what true fame, I mean, when you think about true fame, like, oh my God, I mean, when the whole world is your circle, it must be must be mind-blowingly difficult to live every day.
Yeah.
I love the Bill Murray quote.
Oh, I do remember something about that.
Yeah, like Bill Murray's like, fame is okay, but if you want to be rich and famous, try rich first.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, I always want to say to people who want to be rich and famous, try being rich first. See if that doesn't cover most of it. There's not much downside to being rich other than paying taxes, having your relatives ask you for money. Yeah, so I think this kind of ties into the whole luck surface area thing. Like you also have an unluck surface area.
Yes, I was thinking exactly the same thing.
And on the whole, I think it's a plus. Like I think so many people work so hard to kind of build their profile, do conference talks, or do a lot of blogging, or Tim Ferriss especially. Like he worked really crazy hard to get as much like media attention for each of his books as he could. And yeah, I think it's like almost all a plus until you get like really far. And even then it's still mostly a plus, but the numbers are so big you have to deal with a lot of the bad. I don't know. I think some level, so I think fame within your niche or within your profession, or at least like high professional respect in whatever it is you do, I think that is super useful, and it will make getting rich way easier.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's kind of hard. Like Bill Murray couldn't have gotten rich if he weren't famous. If he were just like a stage actor,
Yeah, that would have been a lot harder for him. So you're making a site for the podcast. How many videos have you done for that? And because it's a double whammy project for you. You're building our podcast hosting site, and you're making videos about doing that, and then you're reselling those, or putting those videos out there.
Yeah, they're all free, but yeah, it's been a lot, and I'm behind on it as well. So go to YouTube.
So have you been putting the videos out already?
Put some of them out. YouTube.com/alchemistcamp. So, I have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are published on YouTube. And I've got another hour of footage I'm editing. And then I also have enough content making the site for like the next 4 videos probably.
Should they, this is just me thinking right now, looking at it, shouldn't they sort of all say in the title, my new podcast site or something like that?
I don't think so, because the thing that makes them a big pull for my audience is that they're related to Phoenix Live View. So that's why every single one of them says Live View app in there. Like that's what people want.
So Live View app is the podcast app. Okay.
So Live View is the technology I'm using to make it. That's the thing where you can write the back end in Elixir.
But right now you're not using Live. Are you using Live View for anything else?
Nope. This is the first one.
Yeah, right. So right now it saying Live View app kind of is as good as saying
it is.
Basically anyone who comes into there will see, and now I'm working on my podcast app. I'm assuming that that's what you say. Yeah. Okay.
And the other thing is people that, they're following it for the technical content, but the people that really do follow that they all know what I'm building because they're typing it into their keyboards as well. So I don't think it's going to be like anywhere near a full crossover, but I think there'll be a fair number of people who like see this and are at least like, oh, like what is this? What is this thing? Maybe I'll check out the podcast.
Let's have a look at the did you get any comments on that first video that had a couple of hundred views?
Well, I have a comment saying they're testing my new commenting system and they're glad I launched it.
I meant on YouTube.
On YouTube? Yeah, sure thing.
Let's have a look at the YouTube comments.
Just go back a couple more. And by the way, the stereotype of YouTube comments is that they're horrible, but my experience has been they're great.
So this one, how many views did this have? This had a couple hundred views?
Yeah. So, okay. Hey Mark, how are you doing? Man, may I ask you for something for this series? Could you make a video of how to use LiveView to interact with some JavaScript libraries, those draggable ones, like some charts? Someone else gave me some advice on how to restore all Windows in VS Code. Got a couple of thank yous. Then
Great.
The next one, so the second one had 300 views. Each one has less views in any given series, like because everyone will.
Oh, that it always works that way. Okay.
Yeah, because everyone will do the first video, right? Like they're all gonna start it, but you may not finish them all. Just like a series of books.
It's a funnel.
Yeah. So people asking, did anyone else run into string keys for signs? So it's somebody asking questions about how the upgrade I did works. So
nice.
I suspect by the time this is done, it'll be a pretty high traffic.
So what do you think? You're thinking it'll be so far you've got six. Well, how many videos have you actually created in total at this point?
5.
Okay, and you're thinking, are you halfway done or?
I think for the coding, I like my coding of the site, it's way more than halfway done, or at least way more than halfway to an MVP, enough to just put stuff up there. But for the videos, I don't know. It might be like 10 or 12. It's
cool.
It's really a lot of it takes a lot longer to screencast and explain something than it does to just write it.
Yeah. How long would it take to, like, how many days of work effort would it take to just build it if you didn't have to do the screencast?
Less than 1. Like it would not be a lot. Another factor in this is like there's stuff like I use MacVim, for example, and I've got all kinds of stuff set up for MacVim, so I can just instantly go to I've got like a thing that will set a system environment variable for what project I'm on, so I can just say go to the reactor project, and then after I've done that, I've got another shortcut to go straight to the router. So I just hit a 3 key character combination like leader gr, and I'm at the router, and I can hit like a different combination and I'm at the mix file. And this is horrible for screencasting. Like it's great for coding, but if I'm doing this in a screencast, people will be like, "You're teleporting between files. Like, what are you doing? The cursor's going everywhere." So like, it's great. I mean, I love Vim, but as great as it is, personally as a programmer, because you can automate everything, you just get like more and more and more leverage. It's really horrible helping someone understand all the steps and how something works. So
what do? You just use like a tree nav on the left?
Oh, well, I mean, I've got Nerd Tree, or I've got a number of navigation things set up. I could do this, but usually I just use VS Code because that's what everyone uses.
And is that on the right there?
Yes, this is on the right.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, so they can just see the tree and how it's all working.
And in fact, it's I've also got this thing up here, which is one minor bit of success from Alchemist Camp. I've been working on those beginner like email course sequences.
Yeah.
And some people are actually like emailing me back and be like, "Here's the code I wrote based on that. Like, I've done challenge 1. Where's the next one?"
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. So that's a good idea. And let's just stick with that for a sec.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking maybe that's something, just brainstorming here about Nugget challenges. I wonder if there's like if that kind of thing could work in the context of learning.
Well, you suggested that yourself, didn't you?
Yeah. So like write a blog post and try and get 100 people to look at it, kind of thing.
Yeah. And then like after people have done it, some people will be like, "Shoot, I attracted the worst kind of most fickle audience who will never buy anything," but they kind of like learn it from experience. I think that's
okay. So how does that work for you? How does your challenges work? You just is it on a drip sequence or is
it's not yet? So it's
we mentioned that last time.
It's from that it's from that Typeform connect thing that I hooked up.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
So what I'm thinking is I'm just gonna make it 4 emails. So I've been doing these manually, but I've been getting an uptick. And the two things I use to decide what 4 emails to send are how good they are at Elixir and what their best language is. Because if their best language is Erlang, they are going to be way different than if their best language is anything else. And if their best language is, say, like Java or .NET, they might be a little different than if their best language were Ruby or Python or something like that. So that's the main thing, or that's the secondary thing. Then the main thing is
very context driven. Very context driven. So that's something that I should probably think about for Nugget as well. Yeah, okay, got it.
So the main division that I'm making is like how much Elixir do they know? If they're advanced, I don't care about their best language because they'll all be about the same. But if they're a beginner or if they're an intermediate, then those emails change a little bit. So there's going to be a little bit of overlap, but between these 3 levels and 4 emails that each person gets, I need about 9 or 10 emails till I've got everything, and then I'll automate it. And I've written 7 so far.
Okay.
So
nice.
That's that'll hopefully be automated like within a month or so.
So, I think we should begin to wrap up. We've done like 45 minutes on the clock here. Maybe we could think about what goal. How do you think we should wrap up?
I think goals for next time is a good one.
Yeah, goals. Yeah. Man, so next time from today, which is, let's just see what the day is today. It is the 12th. So 7 days from now is the 19th. And then my deadline for my day job is the 20th. So...
you're still going to be pretty slammed.
I'm going to be super slammed between now and the 20th. But I should be... What could I do? I really want to move... So task flow is the thing that I want to move forward with. So the next steps, the steps are going to be the usual steps that I do to validate a product. And so just to remind anyone who was listening last time, or that's interesting, podcasts grow. So this is just a thought just occurred to me. So with your course, it goes less and less and less people watch everyone. But with a podcast, if you're doing it well, more and more and more and more people listen to everyone.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
It's kind of an inverse. Anyway, so with task flow, I sort of need to specify the product, what it fully is. There's a few problems that I think it's solving for me, and I think I really need to make it scratch my own itch, and then mock that up, and then talk to people who have been interested, who I think I call these people seeds. It's like from a seed group. So I'm going to show it to those, iterate the mock-ups, and then once I've got those mock-ups ready, then I'm going to build a landing page that's going to look kind of feature complete. It's going to look like a real product. I've even got a little animation idea and how to make it look really slick, and I've got some ideas on the kind of text to use to sell this. And then I'm going to put it on beta list, and then hopefully, if I'm right, and it's a true consumer product, it should get like a couple of 100 to 500 email addresses from it. Wow. If I'm right. And then that will be my primary thing. And then I will be speaking to those people. And then I think the next thing I'll do after that, once I've got more definition about what the product is and what people really want, I'm sort of thinking this time around I might do a pre-launch and basically say the only way you get on the beta list is if you basically pay a year in advance. It's like $60 down. And so $5 a month. And the reason why I would do that is to validate the financials, and to get a group of people who I'm working with in Slack. I try and get all of those people in Slack and work with that audience and those users, and just really double down on building an amazing product for people who've given me money.
Sounds like a lot.
Well, yeah, it's so each one of those is like split up into, so the very first thing I have to do is to think through the product and start doing some mock-ups. So I've shown you one mock-up so far, and it's not even remotely close to what it should be. But it's the beginning.
Yeah.
But I just don't. I do find doing mockups for real UI, for real end user UI, is very, very thought intensive and time intensive. And in fact, I was doing this for the day job just recently. And what always happens is I start with this big UI that does all these different things. And the reason why I do that is because I want to see, okay, these are all the possibilities. Now, how do I simplify? And so I just iterate, then I do, the next version. Okay, if I can sort of remove those two buttons because they get covered by this button, then I do the next version, and I just keep on bringing it down and down and down until there's just 3 buttons.
But the right three.
The right 3. But it's very, very time intensive to work out how to get it from complexity to simplicity. And that's what I need to do. Mockups, getting it from complexity to simplicity.
Yeah. I'm just going to pull up a prioritization thing I did in my physical notebook.
Nice.
Okay, so I've got there's another project I'm helping out someone else with. I've got to focus on that a bit. That's basically a contracting thing where one of my friends is on it, and it's but he's also moving off of that project, so I've got to basically.
You're taking it over?
Yeah, it looks like it. So I've got to read up a lot.
But I thought I thought you didn't do work for. Oh, you do work for people.
I don't, unless it's my friend is working on it.
Okay.
So I'm going to do that, and then work on Reactor, just in terms of because I made a soft commitment to you of when I'm going to get the site out, which should be next episode, and then my third priority.
I don't mind if that drags a bit, because I think we're still getting our footing about what the hell is this thing, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The other thing, I guess, is it doesn't have to be on the website before it's on YouTube or on the podcast stores, like on iTunes.
Yes, that is true.
Because, Alchemist Camp started off as a YouTube channel before it was a site.
Yeah.
So those are the main things I'm working on. The other is...
Sorry, what was number 3?
Oh, the Lyricast Git series. So I did... I actually did Jeffrey Way's Lyricast series on Vim, which is where I got the idea for a couple of those things I was showing you on my Vim setup.
Okay.
Even though I'm not doing anything with PHP or Lyricasts, he's such a good teacher, and he teaches so many related things that some of them are pretty valuable. So after that, after being so happy with that Vim series, where I learned stuff despite already having used Vim for years.
Is that the main teacher guy on Laracast?
Yeah, I think he's the only one.
He's so clear and concise and so excellent at talking around stuff. Very, very good.
So
very
after
good.
that experience, this is kind of building the engine. I'm thinking, I should just go through his Git series here and there when I've got time, because Git is going to be around for at least another decade, and just getting 5% more efficient with it is probably a worthwhile win.
Yeah.
So mostly.
Well, of course, I do everything through Tower, so it just all works.
I've never heard of that. Is that still Git?
It's just a really nice front end to Git. It's a complete app.
Okay.
So you don't have to do any Git.
Well, as long as it's got a Vim mode, maybe I'll check it out.
There's no Vim. It's just all UI.
Yeah, it's completely the opposite paradigm.
Yeah, it's complete, but it makes it so easy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'll still have a look at it. I'll put it in the links.
What was number 4?
Number 4 was... Oh, you know what? I think I closed it. Number 4 was lower priority. I believe it was. Oh no! I believe it was working on my email sequence.
I like this idea of a list of things to try and get done. That's nice. Maybe I'll have to think about that for the next one.
I do that sometimes, especially if I'm just getting a coffee and I have 10 minutes or something. I'll just kind of do a brain dump, because especially when finishing one thing and I want to kind of reorder everything based on what's happened since I last thought about it. So
right. Well, this this has seemed the most cohesive, even though it's been wildly uncohesive. It seemed like the most cohesive of the three that we've done. So it's like, I'm getting a sense of, there's some crystallization happening. It's like it's potentially turning into a something from a what the F to maybe this is something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, until next time then.
Okay.
All right.
Ciao.
See ya.